XRP fake news. We got to talk about it. And I got to retract something that I shared just a couple days ago. And I'm going to share my story on how I ended up falling for this. Because normally something like this won't get by me. You guys know I always am bringing the most effort to provide only the truth, facts, and evidence. And when it's time to speculate, I'll share my speculation with pleasure. But I definitely don't want to be putting out anything like this. And it was just an honest mistake. And I'm going to get into that in just one moment. But right now, the crypto market is pumping. Had to flip the background light to green because we're seeing a lot of green on the charts. Absolutely love to see it. So you guys can take a look at this thing right now. Bitcoin back up above 53,000. It just went up to about 53,500. It's swinging. A lot of volatility coming in right now. 3,100 Ether. BNB up towards $400. Solana at 105. And XRP at 54 cents. So a lot of green coming in on the charts. And then we did just see that Flare just broke above 5 cents earlier this morning. And I'm going to be covering this in a separate video. Flare up over 500% since it bottomed out this last year. So a huge shout out to the Flare community. That video is going to be dropping later today. So make sure you guys subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss any of our updates. Now let's get into it. So let's cover some facts, some truth in regards to XRP, and then I'll show you where we went wrong and I made a little mistake. And then there's also another fake news story right now circulating in the XRP community that we're going to clarify on that one as well. So right on into it. This is where our validators are at right now. Huge shout out to Vet, one of the DUNL validators, one of the 35 that actually get to vote on amendments and decide where the ledger is going to progress when amendments are going to be passed. And he says that more than 31% of the network updated only 5 days after the release of the XRP Ledger software Ripple D 2.1 already. So for those of you guys who don't know, we just got an update once again. There was 2 bugs, 2 little problems for NFTs, and then one for the AMM. Both of those fixes are implemented in this update. And so now we're waiting for the rest of the nodes to update. But Vet says, this is by far the fastest I have seen nodes update, and it's great progress. And so this is what we want to see, right? We want to see all of these nodes get updated to 2.1. The most recent version was 2.01, 2.00, and then we have some old ones back here, which a lot of these can be, probably decommissioned, and they're never going to update. So it's not so much we want to get the 1.10 and the 1.12, a lot of those are probably decommissioned, shut down. They're not going to update. But what we want to see is, there's 656 nodes right here, right now. And we want to see most of those get updated to the newest version so that when that, new amendment is, when this update's done, there were not amendment blocking some of these older validator nodes. So that's very important, and we're starting to see progress. We're starting to see validators more responsive in the community. And a huge shout out to Vet because he has been in our spaces, in the Twitter spaces. I'm going to play a little clip later of him explaining the other XRP kind of fake news story that circulated over the weekend. And he's been providing clarity for the community, and that's important. And what we're seeing is more responsiveness. So when an update comes out, when an amendment is set to be voted on, we're starting to see a more responsive validator community. And this is fantastic because once again, our validators aren't compensated. There is no incentive because the best incentive is no incentive. If you're running the validators for the XRPL, it's because you care about the XRP ledger, right? And so that's very important. Now, this is what I shared, right? The video that I shared was Satoshi admits XRP better than Bitcoin. Well, he didn't actually say those words. I'm going to show you guys the fake news, but before I get there, I'm going to show you the real piece of email. So it was an email chain that came out over the weekend. And here's my excuse, right? I'm driving with the family down to Portland, Oregon this weekend. And what a disaster of a city. I'll save my comments on that in the next real estate update, maybe. What a disaster. But I was going there. My mother had purchased basketball tickets to the Blazers game for me and my brother. So took my family, took my brothers down there, and we had a good time going to the basketball game. But nonetheless, on the way down there, we're driving with the family, right? We stopped for a quick pit stop, and I, taking just a few minutes to scroll through Twitter, catch all the news and the updates. And then I see this post, right, which is an email chain, a legitimate email chain where Satoshi is talking about Ripple Pay at the time. And that was the original idea that then morphed into the XRP ledger. So I see the first piece right here from Emi Yoshikawa, who is, VP Strategic Initiatives at Ripple. So this is a Ripple, executive that shared this. This is the real story right here. Interesting to see Satoshi's comments on Ripple Pay, conceptualized by Ryan Fugger, which was later infused into the XRP ledger. And he started that in about 2004. And here's the comments. Are you familiar with Ripple? Remember, this is an email chain with Marty Malmy. Are you familiar with Ripple? As trust systems go, Ripple is unique in spreading trust around rather than concentrating it. I've been asked at least 4 other times, have you heard of Ripple? Ripple is interesting in that it's the only other system that does something with trust besides concentrate it into a central server, Satoshi. So that was a legitimate email chain between this guy, Marty Malmy, and Satoshi back in 2009. Well, literally right below, I see that post and I'm like, okay, bookmark that. We're going to have to make a video about this, right? And then I see this next post, which was put out by Panos, who is someone that I respect. He's someone who's been in the XRP community for a long time. He is part of Anados Finance. They're one of the interfaces for the XRPL AMM testnet, right? So the AMM isn't live yet, but we have Orchestra Finance and then we have Anados Finance, which have already created kind of test nets to go play with it. So they've created an interface. And so huge shout out to Panos, which is why part of the reason why I fell for this is because I saw that Panos posted it and he's a very serious account. Everything that he posts is very good information on the XRP ledger, but he was reposting an XRPP post. For those of you guys who don't know, huge shout out to XRP Productions, huge satire account on the XRP community on Twitter. And so Panos took his tweet and he reposted it. And it was this email thread that was made up. And so he shows it's 2009, which is obviously before the XRP ledger even existed. But the email says, XRP is going to launch 3 years from now, and I expect it to be an improved version of Bitcoin, solving double spending in a more efficient and decentralized way than proof of work. Which is true. Actually, that's the best part of every joke, is that there's some truth to it. And that's what makes this so believable. XRP is going to be deflationary and better than Bitcoin, but the Bitcoin community is going to hate it because it will be different and they will be thinking that Bitcoin is the one and only. But eventually people are going to realize that XRP is the standard. Now, my apologies for sharing this and not seeing this, because if I would have just taken another second to read it, I would have realized there's a couple obvious points in there that would have given it away. But nonetheless, like I said, I was traveling on the road with the family. And if you've ever done a road trip with 2 kids under 2, you know how that goes. And so my apologies. And I released the video and I wanted to come on here and retract it, right? Satoshi did not say that XRP is better than Bitcoin, but you guys know how I feel about that. And like I said, what's so funny and what's so effective about XRPP is a lot of the jokes and the satire that he puts out have a lot of truth to it, right? And so huge shout out to XRPP, huge shout out to Panos. You guys fooled me and I should have known better. But at the same time, go back to that last email that was real from Satoshi, noting how the Ripple is interesting and it's the only other system that does something with trust besides concentrate it into a central server. So Satoshi has put respect on the Ripple payment network before it became the XRP ledger. And I mean, anybody who is not biased, who's not a Bitcoin maxi, can see that the XRP ledger has been a much more efficient payments network than Bitcoin. Now, obviously Bitcoin, got to respect it. It's the original one, but XRP definitely has surpassed it as a payment network. Now, the other piece of fake news that was spreading around this weekend was someone suggesting, and there was an XRP transaction on the ledger that was releasing 400 million XRP being released by Ripple. Now, obviously, it's not the first of the month when Ripple does get their escrow release. For those of you who don't know, Ripple gets that 1 billion every first of the month. The escrow gets released to them. And for the last few years, they basically have been returning about 70 or 80% of it back to the escrow. But there was a transaction that went across the ledger that got picked up by Whale Alert, and it got shared around, and it was saying that 400 million had been released from the Ripple escrow. That's not the case. It's not true. And we're going to once again call on Vet to help clarify this one for us. The escrow in question has multiple properties: XRP value, destination XRP account address, and then there's a finish after. This is the escrow feature that's built into the XRP ledger, guys. Finish after in this case was set to February 1st, 2024. Anyone can finish the escrow when the condition is met, which it is because we are at the end of February. Finishing the escrow doesn't mean you get the escrow because the destination is set to Ripple's account, but anyone can verify and prove the state of the ledger. The rules are public and you can finish the escrow if rules are met. But the escrow finishes a transaction and it means you can put a funny memo into it, which the person did. So I'm just going to play 60 seconds here of Vet explaining what just took place. Here's the Whale Alert transaction, because Whale Alert has their system set to pick up any transactions like this. They picked it up, they reported it, but you got to listen to Vet explain it here real quick.
Hey everyone, I want to talk about the 400 million XRP Ripple escrow unlock. A lot of people have questions about the validity of it, what's about with the funny memo, what is this possible with escrow? So I would just want to go together with you over the matter, and so we can see what's happened. So this is the transaction, okay, that unlocked the finish the escrow, initiated by this person here called Of Escrower of Die. And he's a huge XRP and Ripple fan. He really likes the community. Here he sends David memos where it says hi. By the way, funny, David's not Satoshi. It's David's name, by the way, here on BitHub. So he tries to unlock the escrow for Ripple, and sometimes he succeeds, and then he can put really funny memo into the transaction. And this time he succeeded. So in this one, he said February escrow was not executed. Welcome back, Hodor, John Deaton. And that was his message.
So right there, you guys can go to Vets on Twitter there and watch the full. He dropped an 11-minute video kind of explaining, going into how that XRP ledger works and the escrow finish. But as you can see, anybody can set up something like this. This is the beautiful thing about our public open source technology. It doesn't mean it's going to go through, right? You can set up an escrow, you can request the payment, doesn't mean it's going to go through. And in the memo field, you can put whatever the hell you want. Now, something that is funny to note is that David's account on BitHump is called Not Satoshi. So, just to add to the Satoshi XRP conversation, that gets a little bit interesting as well. But nonetheless, folks, I wanted to put out this video so I could retract my statements on sharing the fake news story. My apologies. I was just traveling. I was just trying to get out my content, and I should have double checked it and verified before I did it. My bad. And you guys know I'm always just trying to bring you guys the truth. And we got stuff like this that gets spun up, and it's, once again, there's a lot of passion, there's a lot of emotion in our community right now. And so anything like this sets everyone off. And what we continue to try to do is to set the record straight, providing clarity, not just on XRP, but on all of the crypto markets, financial markets, the current events, tying it together, how we get on the right side of the transfer of wealth. I appreciate all of your support, and we got more content dropping later today. The markets are absolutely ripping, so let's smash the thumbs up for that. I'll see you in the next one. God bless. I am your host, Zach Rector. I really appreciate all of the love and support. If you want to support the channel, just remember that you can start by smashing that thumbs up for me, sharing this content far and wide, and everything else is at my website.